All right. So one common question we get on the agency side of things is how long does it take to get results?
Yeah.
And it varies depending on which strategies you're going to be using. So for pay-per-click advertising, let's go over pay-per-click advertising, search engine optimization or SEO, and social media.
Yeah.
Okay. So I usually like to use pay-per-click advertising and search engine optimization as a twofold process that accomplishes your main business objectives over time. So for something like pay-per-click advertising, you can see results that next day.
Yeah.
If you set it up with the right targeting and the right messaging, you can see results. And so I usually like to use that because search engine optimization is a lot longer of a play. I mean, you can reasonably expect to start seeing some good traction between 6 and 12 months, which is kind of a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow.
Yeah, a lot of people, because they're paying a service, right? So they're
Right.
paying for a service, they want a return on it because it's an investment. Is
Right.
how
And
they see
after
it.
like a few months, it's like, oh, we're not seeing the results. Like we're
Yeah.
paying for it. And they get like kind of cold feet.
Yep.
And then they want to bail.
Yep.
But the ones that we've seen the most success in is the ones where we are consistent in our strategy over a long period of time. And you start to see that way. I mean, you've heard even in like YouTube, like marketing in YouTube, you're going to be posting a lot for a while before you start seeing those results.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Very similar to search engine optimization as well. So it's you got to stick with the program for search engine optimization, but utilize pay-per-click advertising to get those short-term gains until you can get the search engine optimization to where you want it to be.
Yeah.
For social media, though, I'm going to defer to you on that because you have a lot more experience with social media marketing.
Yeah, social media is an interesting one because first of all, it 100% takes time and consistency. First of all, because when you look at a profile page, your profile page won't. So it depends on. Let me just back up. It depends on what your goal is. A lot of people think like I just need to hit 10,000 followers and that'll be like the catalyst.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's not really what matters, So it's like you have to reframe how they think. And it also depends on what kind of business it is. Are you selling on Instagram? Do you have an Instagram store? Or are you just basically a portfolio for your business and you're using it as a contact form, which a lot of people do, and it makes sense, right? Because you don't necessarily need to follow specific businesses online if it's like a one-off product or if it's a service industry, but you need to be active just because you need the content out there. So it depends on what your goal is.
Okay.
That being said, everything takes time. I think it's very easy to just assume like, oh man, we haven't increased likes or follows like in the last 2 months. And it's like, we've increased some, but like not at an exponential rate like they're expecting. And it's like, that's not really how it works. It's consistency over time, kind of what you're talking about in the SEO aspect. Now, when it comes to, hey, we don't have any content and we just need content because we have zero content. If you're starting from scratch and moving up, it's a huge benefit. I think that's one thing with social media that SEO doesn't have is SEO is completely behind the scenes where it's hard to be like for 6-12 months, you may not see an increase at all. And they're like, are they doing anything? Like, what are they doing?
Right.
And now on social media, it's easy to see because we're posting, there's content being created, there's content being posted, there's copy being written, and all of that is for everyone to see. So that is one benefit of social media is that long term, it's like, or even short term, people, they can at least visually see that you're doing work.
Right.
And so for us, it's beneficial, right? Like as an agency. But that being said, it's definitely over time. You also start to realize as you post what is engaging with your audience, and it doesn't happen overnight, right? Like we have certain clients that they were just posting just the products, and you realize like you have to post more than that. You have to post like what your brand is and what you believe.
Right.
You can do funny stuff. You can do, and for them, funny stuff in their industry hits hard. So they either reshare or we tweak memes. We do things like that bring in the aspect of the company, but also just talk to the entire industry that they're targeting. And it works really, really well. And that keeps people on our page. So it's like we filter that in with product photos, and that helps grow the page along with getting new people to see our stuff, right? So it takes time, and at first we didn't. That's not really what they wanted to be their strategy. But after they saw it worked, and we posted something to Facebook, it was like, one of them was an old Budweiser commercial that we put text to change what the meaning of the commercial was, and it made it funny and relatable to the industry, and it got millions of views. And we saw a huge increase in followers, and over that week we saw an increase on our website and all this stuff. And it was like, oh, that's cool. We should do more of that. And now they could see, okay, I can kind of understand how it's working. That still doesn't happen overnight, and the consistencies needs to be big. Now, as a small business owner, the content creation side of it, whether you're doing PPC because you need the content for the ads, if you're doing visual ads, and for social media, that takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. And I think that's where people get burnt out. But when it comes to timeframes, you just have to stick with it. Like if this is going to be your business, I think at some point you just look at your analytics, you adjust as you go, and you just know that this is something you have to do and it will pay off. And stop looking at it like, man, when is this really just going to explode my business? It's like, don't look at it that way. Just, you need to start doing the work. Just put it in, be consistent, and you'll get there.
That's interesting. Sometimes when I look at businesses and I look at like their following.
Yeah.
Right. What would you say? Because I have a number in my head, but what would you say a respectable following would be, like numbers wise, to say this business is a legit business? Or is that even important?
I think you're asking maybe the wrong question. I think it's not necessarily followers, but it's engagement and people that are, well, right now, the Instagram's biggest thing that affects how much traction you get is shares. It's not follows, it's not likes, it's not comments, it's shares. So it's me sending the little airplane to you.
Right.
That is what they value most, because
that's what Instagram values the most.
That's what Instagram values the most, which now props your business up because they're driving more traffic to it. So for me, it's like a business, it doesn't really matter. So I saw this video of Alex Hermosi, who's a big marketing guy on social media. And he was looking at a girl's profile, this lady, and I forget what she did. I think she was a nutritionist or something like that. But she only had 2,500 followers, so 2,500 followers. And she was closing, I think she closed 10% of her followers on nutritional stuff, which is crazy.
Right.
That's a big amount. 250 clients for nutritional is huge.
Right.
So she was making a crazy amount of money, and she was like, I don't care about my followers. I don't care I care about my followers. I don't care about the number of followers I have. Because if I'm giving out good content and they're connecting with it and they're buying my stuff, I could have 4 followers, and if 4 clients come up, 4 or 2 or whatever, it's like, that's worth it.
Right.
That's awesome. And so it's
do you think as a potential customer of hers,
yeah,
you're probably still looking at her following count, though, don't you think?
Yeah, I think you do. I think it shows track record, right? Like okay, how long have they been doing this? Like, okay, enough people follow them,
and just authority in general. Like, should I even listen to this person?
There's definitely some of that for sure. Yeah, there's definitely some of that.
Do you think there's a number that's like kind of in your head that lends that kind of authority and legitimacy to a business as a potential customer?
Well, when you hit the 10,000 follower mark, what's nice about it is it no longer says 9,874. It just says 10K, which just looks more legit. That being said, now you don't even have to do that to feel like you're more verified, because you could actually, as a business, pay for verification, which I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
So now you can pay for your blue check mark for a business. I believe it's $100 a month for that blue check mark
That's
verification. It's pricey, but it's supposed to help with two things. At least is what Meta says. It's supposed to help with ads. They show that if you're a blue check marked ad, you get a lot more conversions. So that might help. It also allows you, they open up features like you can link directly in your reels to products or to your website, which you can't do unless you pay for verification.
Interesting.
So for them, if you pay for it, you get like 4 reels a month that you can link to a specific product.
Okay.
So as they see your thing, it says at the bottom, link there. And it's not a sponsored ad. It's just a regular post. So that's pretty interesting. You also get some other perks, like you get a dedicated person. If you lose your account in some way, they're more inclined to get your account back. So like which stinks for businesses, because I've had a client that before I started with them, they had to start over. They had like thousands of followers on Facebook. Their Facebook got hacked and lost all their followers. So we started from scratch. It's terrible. It stinks. So
how long do you think, like, let's pretend that, the 1,000 follower mark is going to be like where you need to be to prove that you're, somewhat legit.
Yeah.
Might be 10,000. I don't know, but
I think 1,000 for like a local business would be fine.
Yeah.
I think as a new business, when you see it, I think the content that you have there is more important than the followers. But if you say like there's 1,000 followers, I think that'd be great. Like if you're a local burger shop and you're the only one location and you're grinding it out and all that stuff, 1,000 followers is great, because they're local.
I think more in the information space, the follower count's probably more important. Like, and I'll give you an example of like a local service-based business. Like, I don't care about anyone's following on a local service-based business. I just want to know that they're going to do a good job.
Yeah.
And we recently had a dent in our car. We got majorly door dinged.
Yeah.
And I called this guy and I watched his YouTube videos. I didn't care how big of a following he had, but I saw in his YouTube videos a dent that was really similar to the one I had. Yeah. And he got it out. And I was like, okay, I'm giving this guy a call.
Yeah. And that works out good, right? And that comes off the content that you just saw in person, which I think that's really important. Yeah, I think taking good content, posting content, and being consistent with it on social media is way more important than your follower count. But that also takes time, right? Because if that's what we're talking about time frame wise. It's like take content, post content weekly, daily if you can, depending on what kind of business you are. I think there's some businesses that's not as important, right? Like a lot of B2B businesses, you don't have to post daily. That's not how this works. But B2C businesses, I think it helps if you can do that, if you have the bandwidth for it. But it's the consistency over time that gives you the portfolio on your page. So like when you look at somebody, it's not just one video, it's you have 30 videos of you doing that same thing over and over again. And it makes you feel better. You're like, okay, this guy knows what you're doing. After like 4 videos, you're probably like, nah. Yeah, this guy can get my dent out. I'm going to call him.
Right.
So
going back to SEO, I did also want to make a little like put a little asterisk next to what I said earlier. And that was, 6 to 12 months. I also wanted to add that we certainly have seen results a lot faster.
Yeah, you can.
You certainly can. And especially with a small business, like a local-based business, where there's not as much competition, you can create a bunch of content and start ranking immediately. We did that for a home remodeler in North Carolina. And we created a bunch of SEO optimized content for his website. We posted it, and the next day, like we'd been tracking like the keyword rankings for his business prior to us posting this new content. And the next day after we posted the content, we saw his rankings just increase like crazy. And within that first month, we asked him like, hey, what have you been seeing? Like, have you been getting more qualified leads? And he's like, yeah, we've been getting a ton of more qualified leads and stuff like that. And that's like, so we always tell people to expect 6 to 12 months, but we most certainly have seen results a lot faster. And it's just posting content, right? Making sure you're intentional about the content that you're creating for your website, and making sure that you strategically put in specific keywords that you want to rank for in a natural way. You're going to see results a lot sooner.
Thanks for listening. Every week we go over news, tips, tricks, and best practices to help you grow your small business. So follow and subscribe below.
For more information, check out our website at launchingpros.com, where you get access to a bunch of free resources and courses designed to launch and grow your business online. Check out the links below.